Hey, Comicon.com, Tom Smithyman here. We have a great guest for you today. He is writer Phillip Kennedy Johnson. He is quite prolific, and he's got some news for us now. He has actually signed an exclusive contract with Marvel Comics. Phillip, congratulations on that accomplishment.
Thanks a ton, Tom. Appreciate that. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you bet. So was this the biggest no-brainer of your career, signing exclusively with Marvel?
No, it wasn't. I mean, the deal was great, and I've got a ton of friends at Marvel, and I really like it over there. It was great, but I've had conversations like this in the past with DC and Marvel, and I was always hesitant, honestly, because comics to me it's always felt like it should just be about making cool stuff with your friends, and I've got tons of friends at DC and Marvel, and I was always hesitant to close the door, even if the payday was a little better. It just, I don't know, it just seemed unwise. I was very hesitant to do it. But this time felt a little different. I know the guys at Marvel were kind of waiting for me to finish up my Army career. I've been in the Army this whole time while I've been writing, and I just got out. And I know they've been waiting patiently for me to get out so they can start talking about how to load my plate up a little more. And also this time I've been on Superman books for, like 5 years, and I've already got one omnibus out there. And my current series on Superman, Adventures of Superman, Book of L, is going to be kind of the capstone to my second volume. And that would probably be my last statement on Superman in the immediate future. So, and they're giving me time and a runway to finish that up. And so they let me finish up my Batman and Robin story. They let me finish my Superman story. So the timing for once was actually pretty good. And the projects that we're talking about doing there at Marvel now are just so unbelievably exciting. I've already had such great opportunities at DC to get to have equal or even bigger opportunities at Marvel, which is a very exciting prospect. So yeah, at this point it was a no-brainer, but I did give it some real thought and make sure that everyone at DC understands that we're all still friends and that I would still love to work with all of them. It's also, comics is kind of an incestuous little world. Like you tend to work with a lot of the same people at different companies. So it doesn't really feel like goodbye at all. I mean, they've quote unquote lost plenty of people who have then come back, or you end up working together someplace else down the road. So it didn't really feel like any doors really closed. And that was important to me.
Fair enough. What for some of our viewers who maybe don't understand the nuances of what it means to sign exclusively with one publisher, can you sort of walk through the pros and cons, or what went into your thought process and why it was a good thing for you right now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've only done it the once. I mean, again, we've had discussions before, but basically all it means is that they're kind of like paying for your time. So they don't want you writing at the other house that does kind of similar stuff. So even though I after Adventures of Superman and Batman wrap up, I won't be doing any new work at DC.
Right.
I do have some creator-owned carve-outs, so I can still do work at creator-owned publishers for the next couple of years, which is great. That was important to me too. I don't want to be locked down to just Marvel superhero work, or even just comic work. Like, I still have the opportunity to do things outside of comics. I have the opportunity to do things outside of DC. Usually when DC or Marvel sign somebody exclusively, all it really means is of the big two for you, now it's just the big one for the duration of the contract.
Right. I mean, the life of a freelancer can be pretty harrowing, right? I mean, you don't have, for instance, in the United States, you don't have, easy access to health insurance and things like that. Does that change with something like a contract like this, or are you still sort of a freelancer, but just sort of directed in one direction?
For me, that has not been a concern the way it is for some, because I just did 20 years in the Army, and I really wanted to finish that time before I got out. So I think about my son like every decision I make, and his healthcare is now locked in. And that was sacrosanct. I want to make sure that I did that before I got out. It was the last few years of this gig were hard because I was doing 2 full-time jobs, and it was a lot. but it was important to me to finish up that so that Anders would have retiree benefits for the force until he's well into adulthood.
Right. Right. What? How did you balance, a full-time job, in the army with what you were doing in comics? That must have been crazy.
It was crazy. Yeah, I don't know if I can answer that question effectively. It was just extremely hard. I mean, I can tell you how I did it. I mean, I just aged myself like rapidly. I look in the mirror, I don't know myself anymore. I yeah, I just don't sleep much. I nickel and dime out my whole day. You just live hour to hour, just trying to get as much done as you can, just throughout the day. I'd always have paper and a pencil on me, so if I'm standing in line at the pharmacy or if I'm at a red light that I know is a long one, I'll be writing. I'll be taking notes on my phone all the time. I'll be, if I was on tour with my band, um, I'd be writing in the bus like every moment. I'm just constantly working. It was a lot. And there are other things that I like to do outside of with the army. I was a musician. I played trumpet in one of the Capitol bands.
Right.
And when I wasn't doing music or army stuff or writing, um, back in the day, I enjoyed video games. I enjoyed jujitsu and Muay Thai and just MMA in general. And I love all that stuff. There are other things that really had to suffer. It became a lot harder to read for fun, to watch movies. Um, just other stuff kind of suffered. Like I just had to produce all the time, and it was a lot. And plus, it's kind of unhealthy to constantly, as a writer, it's not good to be writing and not consuming good work as well.
Right.
It made it really hard to, like, anytime I was reading, like with my eyeballs, it was almost always a comic.
Hmm.
And when I was reading prose, it had to be an audiobook. Like I would read audiobooks while I was driving or mowing the lawn or in a workout or whatever. Because I just didn't have a second to I was any moment I was not multitasking in some kind of way was considered wasted. It was just
wasted time.
really hard.
Yeah,
It's a super intense way to live.
right. I mean, writers have to experience life in order to write about it eventually, right? So, I mean, that cuts you out, but for sure. You've obviously had a lot of success on the Marvel side with Hulk and now Infernal Hulk. This gives you the opportunity, I think, to develop those characters even more. Can you give us any indication of where you're taking the character?
Sure. Yeah. Thanks. It's going really well. I'm really proud of it.
It sure is.
Incredible Hulk issues 1 through 30 was the first act, and we've been putting all the pieces on the board and setting up the characters and the stakes and where everything is going. I wanted it to feel like a bunch of really, really short arcs. That almost felt like the old Marvel team up books that I loved so much when I was a kid. Those were the books through which I kind of learned the Marvel roster,
Hmm.
where you'd see Spider-Man teaming up with whoever it would be like a lot of one shots or two shots, and it was just the best. As a kid who didn't have a lot of consecutive comics, those short stories like that were amazing, and it was a way to meet a lot of really cool characters. So having cameos like that, or just constantly introducing new mythology and new monsters for the Marvel bestiary, was just really important to me. And now that all the pieces are on the board, and we got to the big conclusion that I want, not conclusion, but the big beat that I wanted at the end of that run at issue 30, that sets up the second arc, which is Infernal Hulk, and that's happening now. So this is the point at which it's still a very Hulk-centric book, as the first 30 issues were, but now it also has a lot more interaction with the Marvel Universe.
Hmm.
We're going to see much more impactful contributions from other big characters, and that's going to continue through the end of Act 2 up to Act 3, which is going to be a new thing. It's just the whole thing is just an ongoing ski jump of intensity and violence.
Well, that's what the Hulk's all about. So that makes a lot of sense.
Totally, exactly.
So it'll be the third arc will be the third story will be a new title altogether.
Yeah.
Or yeah. Is there anything you can tell us about where you're headed with, perhaps other characters, either when you're done with Hulk or sort of at the same time?
Man, I wish I could. It's just so early, but there will be announcements this coming year for big stuff coming. For a title I hope to be on for a very long time, for a character I dearly love, for a book that they've known that I want real bad.
Great.
I can tell you this is not a spoiler because it's not greenlit yet. I'm going to do more Hellhunters. I love Hellhunters, and it's that book is a passion project for me. It's like my Nazi therapy. So we're gonna do more Hellhunters for sure. Just
Oh,
because
that's
I mean
fun.
I got to get again. It's not a spoiler because I got to get it over the plate still. But
You need a
but
story first, yeah.
yeah, it's gonna happen though. I'm gonna pitch one pretty soon. I know what I'm gonna do, and it's gonna be dope. And I'll lay the family farm on them saying yes. So
All
there'll be
right.
more Hellhunters this coming year.
All right. You heard it. You heard it here first.
You did.
Um, you talked about your army career. You talked about music. I mean, you have a master's in music. You've performed really around the world. I think what the Dallas Opera, the Moscow Ballet. How do those two seemingly separate things, music and writing, or in particular writing comics? What's the red thread that ties that together besides you yourself?
Um, Man, it's so hard to quantify and to describe, but I mean definitely the collaborative nature of it. That's the thing that made comics feel most familiar to me. I think is
Hmm.
the way that you work with the creative team, the way that any if you change out any one person on the comics team, whether it be the inker, the letterer, or the editor, anybody, you change out anybody on the team, and the whole product changes.
Right.
And when it's really working well, it's when everyone is talking all the way through the process. When you're just slammed for time, you just finish your script and you send it. You don't think about it again until it comes out again. You're not making music that way. Like, I mean, the book gets finished, but it doesn't
Hmm.
feel like it was made by one cohesive mind, it
Maybe
works
it's not art
best.
at that point.
Yeah. It's just, yeah, it feels like you're just kind of making the donuts. And if you're really working with the rest of the team and talking through every decision and talking very closely, feels like you're making music again. Feels like small group jazz.
Yeah,
And
that's
it
awesome.
can be you can lose track of that when you get so pressed. I mean, comics are so time sensitive. Sometimes it can. That's just there's just no way around it. You have to just get it out the door. But when it's working really well, it feels like music. And
That's great. That
but
whole
that is
improv thing, yeah, doesn't feel like
that
work, I suppose, right?
it does actually. I
Okay.
it does feel like work. It feels like work the way that music or any kind of art feels like work. There's no yeah, it's not like playing frisbee. It's still work for sure, but
Sure.
it's work that matters to you and it's rewarding and I don't know. I don't explain it. Like there's any kind of artistic endeavor somehow impacts all the others in a way I can't
Mm.
describe. Like for me, one of the best shows on television was Band of Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Another one was Breaking Bad.
Mm.
Um, like you watch those shows and just appreciating the music, but also the acting and the cinematography makes me every element of those shows made me a better composer
Hmm.
and also a better writer in a way that I can't explain to you. It's just like something about the narrative flow and the
Yeah.
little subtleties, the way that one aspect of the creative product was shaped by the others. There's something there that impacts any creative endeavor that I do. Even like my chess playing, like I don't know, I
Hmm.
can't. I wish I could lay it out um, more. I wish I could lay it out better for you, but any kind of taking in any kind of art makes you a better artist, even in other mediums. I found that to be truer and truer as I get older.
Yeah. Fair enough. What is the collaboration process like from a comics perspective? Do you turn in a script? Are you working directly with the penciler all the time? How does that work for you? What's your process?
Ideally, we would be. Sometimes it just depends on the process of that particular book, but um, ideally, I'm talking to the penciler quite a bit. I
Okay.
talk to Nick a lot, Nick Klein on Hulk.
Sure.
Um, I let's see, what's another one? I talked to Scott Godlewski a good bit on Book of L.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it just depends. It just depends on how they like to work or how much they need you. I will say sometimes when the book has a lot of world building and things that have never been seen before, that requires a lot of interaction and finesse.
Right.
So that's probably why I interact so much more with those guys right now because there's less world building that needs to be done on Batman and Robin. Although there was with some of the Memento stuff, there were some things that did need some time. I was designing some behind the scenes lore that was unusual.
Hmm.
And on the Quiet Man, we flesh out a little bit of the church that he came from in the mountains that we don't ever see completely. But there's it's clearly like a distant offshoot of Christianity. So there are lots of little things that are different from familiar religions. And so we talked about the design of the crucifix and the how his gospel goes and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
fascinating.
basically, the more inventive that the world building is, the more we have to talk through it, kind of. Just make sure the iconography and any of the background stuff is right. And I'm always sending a lot of art ref and photo ref to them too, not in the context of like demands or commands, but like, here's what I'm seeing. Like, here's some
Something to consider.
examples. Yeah, here's some things that I'm seeing in my mind. I'm just telling the artist a story so that they can tell a story, and that's crucial. I don't want them to feel like they work for me just because my step comes first. You know, my creative step comes first, but it doesn't mean they work for me. It's just, you know, it still should be collaboration.
And it's a delicate balancing act too. I think, you know, as you said, you're coming up with the concepts, right? And so yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Okay, last question for you. Always like to throw a fun one in at the end. So you've made the Hulk infernal. So what other new adjectives do you think you can throw in front of some of Marvel's superheroes? So for instance, are we going to see the irrepressible Iron Man, the irrational Thor, the illogical Spider-Man? Lay some on us.
The incontinent Moon Knight.
Gives it a whole tinge of yellow in that moon, right?
Yeah, like that white suit was always a risk. You know, like I'd like to see that play out. There's real risk in that book that I don't think is explored enough.
Fair enough. Hopefully, you won't have to actually write it. God forbid you actually have to draw it, because that could get messy pretty fast.
Right.
But we have knocked our computer. We've been celebrating the works of Phillip, who has just signed an exclusive contract with Marvel. Once again, congratulations. Best of luck on Infernal Hulk and all the other Hulks that come after it. And any closing thoughts, Phillip?
I just can't wait for people to see what's coming. There's an announcement coming. I wish I could make today. It's just too early, but it's going to be dope as hell. I will say that where Infernal Hulk goes is the most ambitious thing I've ever done, to include Felspot Chronicles, the Warworld Saga. This is what we're doing now is bigger.
Yeah, given your
really
pedigree and your tenure, I think that's quite a statement. So we'll have to leave it at that. Comicon.com. Thanks so much, Phillip. Thanks for the time, and we'll see you all in the funny books.